Free ride is coming to an end, amigos. And for some of you, it's going to be devastating. Hopefully the vast majority of people who watch this channel, it'll be just like nothing ever happened. We look back at the Great Depression, and we hear about food lines, we hear about this, that, and the other, and we say, oh my goodness, that's so horrible. It wasn't horrible for a lot of people. It wasn't horrible for a lot of people. Those who refrain from splurging on leverage, on heavy debt accumulation, they survive just fine. Doesn't mean they live large, but if you are used to not living large to begin with, if you're used to being frugal, if you're used to driving older vehicles, you're living in the same house, you don't have much leverage. Well, leverage, having a mortgage isn't going to break most people. I hate it, frankly, but I'm there. I got a mortgage, man. I got 4 kids, 1 income. I would not be able to afford my house out of a mortgage. That's a fact. But I'm working on paying it off. That's my goal. Pay it off in 5 years and be done and never take debt again. That's my goal. Whether or not that comes to fruition, I don't know. But because we're so accustomed to leverage is success, or leverage allows you to consume stuff today that you would not have consumed until the future, it's going to be tough for some people like that who are used to that. Dude, I've been there, man. I know what it's like. I'm still fighting every day, man. For heaven's sake, I get it. You put on credit, you pay it off. You put on credit, you pay it off. What happens when you can't pay it off? So Jill just sent me an email about McDonald's laying a bunch of people off, like corporate, not just lay people, but corporate people too. And she said just simply, and so it begins, 100%, man. Layoffs are coming. The days of free, cheap money are over. There's just no two ways around that. But I'm telling you, if you just read, I'm telling you, do yourself a favor and read this book. Buy this book now. They took it out of production. I think I was able to get it back into production because I've been so, and Carrie Meyer is one of my professors at George Mason, by the way. I freaking love Carrie. She crushes. But I think I was able to help get this book back into production because I recommend it, every now and again throughout the channel's history. But what you'll find, here's a paperback right there. What Carrie talks about, and again, this is her experience reading her aunt's or great aunt's diaries from their farming days in Rockford, Illinois. All right, and man, it's just such a wonderful. It's like almost tearful to put it down because like I just read the lives of Elmo, and I can't remember the lady's name, the wife's name, Elmo and May. I just read the lives of Elmo and May, and now they're both dead. And I literally read from when they got married because May kept these diaries. So wonderful. Anyway, so what happened was Carrie's great aunt died, left the house. I can't remember the whole story, but for some reason, Carrie was able to go in the attic and just uncover these diaries from May. And it's so wonderful. From like the turn of the century with no electricity. It's just wonderful. But the interesting thing was what May said during the Great Depression is that the vast majority of farmers retained their farm. Why? Because they had no debt. They had no debt. You can't go bankrupt with no debt. It's just that simple. Again, you might not be living high in the hog, dude. You might not be able to fly to friggin' Boca, Monte Carlo, I don't know where people go. You know what I'm saying? Monte Carlo? I don't know what that is. You might not be able to go on the Viking cruise ship or whatever. I don't know because the cash flow is tight. But you can get by. It's the people who are so heavily indebted because they're addicted to free, cheap money. Like, I need this now. I'm not saying a depression is coming, but certainly deflation and a slowdown. Whenever you pull so much future consumption into the realm right now, you're hurting future growth. Debt destroys future growth. There's no other way around that because debt you're consuming now, and the growth is here today, and you'll pay it back in the future with labor or bankruptcy. There is only 2 ways around it. You have to work, or you have to have some kind of income to pay the labor, to pay the debt you've accumulated. There's no 2 ways around that. And if you're living off your interest income, that's great because now you're like, dude, I got all kinds of interest income. It's wonderful. But if you've been used to living off the labor, and now your labor stops because of layoffs, because the company you work for has indebted, the game's a whole different ballgame, dude. And now you get, this is what happened in 2008. That's why I'm surprised so many people forget 2008. I guess, remember, by the way, in the Great Depression, food lines. You know what FDR did? He paid farmers to plow their fields because the price of the goods was dropping. Why? Because people didn't have the money in which to buy the price of the goods. So to meet the demand, they had to lower the prices, which put a lot of heavily leveraged farmers out of business. Again, it's almost like SVB Bank, Silicon Valley Bank. The people who are heavily leveraged, the government bails them out. And yet you and I get holding the bill. It's just the way it's always been. So FDR bailed out the farmers who were heavily indebted. And the people who ran a tight shop, well, they didn't get bailed out. Anyway, so we had bread lines, but yet the FDR said, we don't want to provide food. We want to raise the prices of crops. We're going to pay you to plow your fields. It's insanity. It's insanity. And so basically fascist mobilization is what led to the getting out of that, with in terms of, but it wasn't free. You had ration cards in World War II. I mean, people are like, oh, the war let us out of it. No, it did not. It put us into freaking rationing. You insanity. It's like the Keynesians. War is a good thing because destruction leads to economic growth. It's nuts. Anyway, but the issue is, do your best to avoid that crap. Yeah, you might not be living large, but you'll be getting by. And you'll be getting by a hell of a lot better than other people. Because the era is over, man. You can see this a mile away, dude. Jerome Powell and the boys at the Fed saying, look, we're not going to give away the store anymore in terms of low, cheap money. We can't. We've got to raise the rates, which, again, as I said yesterday, is a wonderful thing for retirees and soon-to-be retirees. And people who aren't retired but have no debt. You're now getting rewarded to put your money in cash, bank accounts, long-term bonds, whereas before you weren't. You're being penalized for that. All right, love your thoughts. We'll see you.